Between Jaiprakash Power Ventures, which has concluded the sale of its Himachal Baspa Power Company Limited to JSW Energy for an enterprise value of 9,700 crore rupees. We've got Mr. Suren Jain, MD of Jaiprakash Power Ventures, joining in. Mr. Jain, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yeah, good afternoon. I can hear you.
Hi, sir. Thanks for taking this call. So I suppose it's very good news coming in for your shareholders who've been waiting for the completion of this transaction. But very importantly, sir, as we talk about the units that have already been sold, some more clarity on Bina, because it seems that you do have a binding agreement to also look at the possibility of that sale. At what stage are those negotiations?
Well, it's very early stages. It's a binding memorandum of understanding which we've signed. So JSW over the next 8 weeks is going to do the due diligence. And subject to both sides agreeing on a valuation, we'll proceed with this transaction as well.
Are the valuations you're looking at, will they be in the same vicinity as the earlier transaction that has been concluded? Or are you hoping for something more? I mean, just some sense of how you're looking at pricing this asset, which is Bina.
I think, ma'am, there is a marked difference between the valuations of hydro and thermal. So let JSW conclude the due diligence. I think the only thing which I would like to say is that the JSW transaction has happened in a very, very cordial atmosphere, in a very cordial manner. There is a lot of good rapport which has got developed between the two groups, where each is not going to be unfair to the other. So you'll have to wait for 8 weeks to get a clear answer on the valuation.
Mr. Jain, this is Varinder. I just wanted to understand one small thing. The enterprise value of this deal is 9,100 crore. Can you just break it up?
9,700 crores.
9,700 crores, sir. I beg your pardon. Can you just divide the numbers in terms of how much, the debt will be cleared? What will be the debt picture of, say, JP Power after this deal? And what is the equity contribution out of this 9,700 crores?
See, this 9,700 crores consists of about 5,600 crores of debt, which is attributable to these two projects which are getting transferred. So that debt goes, and apart from that, another about 3,000 odd crores of debt, which we had at the corporate level in Jaiprakash Power, also gets paid down through the equity consideration which we received. So it's a total debt reduction of close to 8,500 to 9,000 crores.
Okay.
At Jaiprakash Power level. So we were at about 21,000 crores prior to this transaction taking place. So it reduces by about 9,000 crores from there.
These were the cash cows for you, for JP Power, Baspa and Kanchan Wangtu. Can you just tell us how much revenue did these two assets contributed to JP Power?
They were contributing, last year, that is 31st March 2015, we've done a total revenue of about 4,500 crores. Of 4,500 crores, approximately 1,800 to 1,900 crores was coming from these two assets.
And I believe, going ahead, you will be a thermal company now, which earlier was a hydro company. So do you think that now, the thermal company revenue will be able to pick up to service debt, which is now remaining on the books of the company?
Absolutely, because what I would like to just highlight to you here is the fact that the Nigri thermal power plant, which is a 1320 megawatt thermal power plant, had just gone into operation in the last financial year. In fact, Unit 2 had got into commercial operation only on the 20th of February. So we'll have the full year of generation on that plant, and by the end of this year, our subsidiary Prayagraj Power is also likely to commission another 1980 megawatt thermal power plant. So we are well poised to be able to take care of our debt requirements in the coming years.
What is the eventual plan for you? Because, you sold your hydro, Baspa and Kanchan Wangtu. You also signed a non-binding agreement for a thermal asset, which is, Bina. So going ahead, what do you want JP Power to be? Do you want it to be a mix of, hydro plus thermal, or you want to really concentrate only on thermal?
No, it will continue to be a mix of hydro and thermal. We continue to own the 400 megawatt Vishnuprayag hydroelectric project, which is a thermal asset, which is a hydro asset.
Yes.
Apart from that, the 1320 megawatt Nigri, 1980 megawatt Bara. Then we also own a 74% stake in JP Power Grid Limited, which is a joint venture company with Power Grid on the transmission side, which is already in operation. So I think the sale of these two projects very clearly demonstrate and evidence the focus which the JP Group has on debt reduction. And as you very rightly said, that these were the cash cows and the pride of JP Power. So I think what comfort our shareholders and our stakeholders need to derive is that the group is, while we will get a little leaner, but we will be a more profitable company, and we are ensuring that our stakeholders see value creation happening at the group level.
While I have no doubt in terms of that JP Group has been divesting for a long time, with a debt of nearly 55,000 crore on a group level. I think the total divestment done by the group, has been around 25,000 crore. And if I include that, it could be more than that. But the problem with the market now is that, that you have been divesting, all the cash cows with what you have. Going ahead, what happened? My two-part question: what happens to the remaining debt, which will still remain on the books of the company? How will you, get away with that? Which are the remaining assets now? Will you look to monetize those assets as well? And where the earnings will come, for the company? My second part question.
So all the projects which we continue to retain are also profitable projects. None of the projects with God's grace that the group has set up are not profitable. It's only, sometimes the market conditions which impact the profitability of some of the projects. With the divestments, whatever we've planned and whatever we've done, I think we are well poised to be able to continue to service the balance debt which we'll continue to retain.
So, Mr. Jain, the same question, just to get a little more clarity and color on exactly what Varinder is asking. First and foremost, after Bina, are you looking at any other asset sale, at least in this financial year, or is this going to be the last of it?
As of now, after Bina, we're not looking at anything else.
Okay, so in that case, if you could give us some sense of your targeted ratios, the gearing ratio that you think you'll have once this
I'm at the project site in Himachal Pradesh, and I was told that this discussion is specific to these things, so I'm not carrying any numbers on me.
No,
so
sir.
I won't be able to share any numbers of,
Sir, I'm not looking at specifics. I'm just asking for a rough ratio. If you look at your revenue...
Post this divestment which we've done, our debt equity ratio, which was 1:2, almost 3.5, comes down to about 1:1.75, which is very, very good for a power company.
And after you divest Bina, by the end of this fiscal, where do you see that ratio stabilizing? Because you are looking at divesting
1:1.5.
So by the end of this year, you should be at 1:1.5. Similarly, sir, for your top line, for revenue, because of a lot of these strategic changes that are taking place, between thermal and hydro, what will be the rough mix you think by the end of this fiscal?
Of course, the hydro will be only about 15% of the total top line. About 85% will be thermal.
One last question, sir, because, again, the question comes on the debt. As I said, I appreciate the efforts what you have taken in order to reduce the debt. But, even after this transaction, I think the total debt will be around 40,000 crore on the group level. People were talking about that there are real estate assets which are lying with you. Would you at all, going ahead, like to monetize those assets as well? I want a very rough picture, as I know that you're not carrying the numbers, a very rough picture of what is in your mind in terms of the debt picture, say, going ahead in 1 or 2 years?
I think it's very difficult to say that what will be the debt number, but I can only say that the debt number will be a very comfortable number, which the operations will be able to easily service. And we have shown it in the past, and we will show it again in the coming years.
So for you going ahead, my last question, sir, for you going ahead, the earning kicker will come from cement and construction?
Cement, construction, power, real estate. I think we are present in all sectors of Indian economy which are relevant to the infrastructure sector. And as you know, the focus is on development of infrastructure, and once the cycle picks up, there is no doubt that the company will be back at the peaks at which it was a couple of years ago.
Okay, all right, Mr. Jain, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining in and giving us that perspective. And Varinder, thank you. So I guess it's a big transaction for the company. We've seen the surge in the stock price, hope really floating that perhaps with this, at least for JP Power, if not for the group as a whole, at least for JP Power, as he's saying, leaner and perhaps a little more focused is the way to go forward.
Well, it's a good thing that this transaction has, ended. This is the third time when they were trying to sell it out, and now it has ended. So it's a good thing. But now markets are looking at earnings. It's good that they're reducing the debt. Hence, your interest cost will come down. But what happens to the top line?
The top line itself is going to collapse when we're looking at comparative numbers because the company is going through this adjustment.
Exactly. So the focus has to be what happens going ahead. Now it will be a totally hydro company. As they said, thermal company. The hydro company will be only 10-15% as a JP Power. Construction, and cement aren't doing well as an industry. So I really don't know how much the kicker will come in terms of the earnings for the group as well. But still, this company is sitting on a huge debt. Let's see, how many more assets they monetize going ahead. But good move.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. That's the story of the hour. But the other big headline that we are tracking today, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has met India Inc.